I'm going to chat to you about how I financed my first property development deal, which was a $3 million project, 5 kilometers east of Brisbane CBD, and I did it starting with no money. My name's Adam Panisi. I do these videos to help you and help other people that are looking to build wealth through property, gain knowledge, and do it themselves and build long-term wealth for themselves. So I'm in the car traveling. It's the most free time that I've got, so I'd love to do these videos now. And one thing that a few people have asked me is around how I financed my first development deal. So I'm not just going to talk about how I financed it in terms of an equity point of view. I'll also talk about the bank financing that I got to be able to build and complete the whole thing. So keep in mind, I was 22 at the time. I'd never got any type of loan. I think I had a car loan when I was 20 or something like that. So I was really starting from zero. So if you're in the same boat, or if you've owned a couple of properties before, well, you're already ahead of me. And the fact that if you're already watching this video, you're already ahead of where I was when I started. So how I did the original finance, you might have heard me tell the story before. I did a vendor finance deal. The vendor chipped in $300,000. And that was for me to buy the property itself. The property was $1.1 million when I bought it. So he chipped in $300,000. What that did was pay for the deposit, and it also paid for the stamp duty, and there was a little bit of money left over after that. So $300,000 on a $1.1 million property meant that the loan facility was around $850,000 or something like that, to that tune. So the settlement of the property was done with the Westpac Bank. It was just a standard residential loan. What I bought for $1.1 million back in 2010, late 2010, was two houses side by side in a suburb called Morningside, 5 kilometers east of Brisbane CBD. And I just got a standard residential loan. Both houses had the ability to be leased. So what that meant was I got a real estate agent to give me appraisals on the property to show how much they could be leased for. The bank then used that, and it contributed to the serviceability when we looked to get the loan. I did have a job at the time. I was getting paid $60,000 a year in my job. I was basically a graduate engineer. I was a graduate, but I was making $60,000 a year. So whether you're on $60,000 less or more, you don't have to buy a $1.1 million property. You just got to work out what is your serviceability if you are looking to settle on a loan or get a bank loan. There are other ways to do it, but this is just from my personal experience in my first project. So I was on $60,000 a year. I was able to borrow $800,000. The banker used the rental as income, which obviously helped show my serviceability on the debt. So that was how I settled the property. I also introduced a joint venture partner. They chipped in another $300,000. So I had, at the start of the project, I had $50,000 in the bank left over from the vendor finance arrangement, and then I had to the tune of $300,000, and that money was to be used to renovate the existing properties and then do the development. So I bought this site with 2 existing properties in place. They desperately needed renovating. One of them was already leased. One of them could be leased, but the owner of the property that I bought it off, the guy that vendor financed me, he was actually living in the second property. So he moved out, and that $300,000, I used it to start to renovate the first property. So I staged it I staged the whole development. So it was 5 dwellings. Each of those 5 dwellings is worth $600,000. So it was about $3 million end value, give or take. That was about where it ended up. It's probably worth, $4 million now. So I financed the deal. I got $800 and something thousand from the bank. Had $300,000 sitting in the bank as cash. That cash was used to renovate the first 2 properties. It was also used to advance the application. Advance the building approval to then go and build the other 3 townhouses. So at the end of stage 1, we had 2 renovated houses. the $300,000 had been all spent, because that's how much it cost to renovate 2 houses and do building application. And then what we did after that was got the whole site revalued with these 2 houses that have been renovated, revalued the whole site, the value had gone up. We pulled out another $100,000, and by we, I mean I had a joint venture partner in the deal as well. But I was the main guy running it, joint venture partner was silent. The loan was refinanced on that new value, pulled out $100,000, and I used that to hook the services up and stage the development. So I split off these couple of houses onto their own lots, and then I did a balanced lot or a balanced parcel for the 3 new townhouses. So one really great way to chip in or have less capital to be able to do developments is to stage them as much as possible. So if you've got a 1 into 2 subdivision, that's pretty straightforward. You need to split the titles into 2. But if you're looking at building or retaining the houses, well, you could look at just building one at a time, building one, getting it revalued, renting it out, and then building the other one. So that's exactly what I did. Renovated the 2 houses, leased both of them, and then they were both let. They both had income coming in, then refinanced the whole property, and then pulled out an extra $100,000 to split the titles at the back, and the title was the balanced title for the 3 townhouses. So once the titles were split, then we could have 3 separate loans. So I had 1 title for 1 house, 1 title for another house, and then 1 title for the 3 townhouses at the back. So that townhouse title, hopefully you're still following, that townhouse title, that loan facility was done purely for construction, whereas the other 2 facilities for the houses, they were both just standard residential housing finance. So the facility at the back was actually a commercial finance facility, even though it was only 3. He did it as commercial because of the serviceability. I was only making $60,000 a year, so I didn't have the serviceability to service. Can't remember what the loan was at the time. Maybe $1.5 million or maybe more. Don't know. Probably was actually $1.5 million plus maybe another 1.5 for the 2. Oh, sorry, another 1 for the 2 houses. So I didn't have the serviceability for an extra $1.5 odd million in lending. So that was a commercial loan for these 3 townhouses. So to cut a long story short, that was how I did the financing to get the whole project completed. And I did it with $600,000 capital for a $3 million project. And keep in mind as well that $600,000 capital, I had to pay stamp duty with that and fund fund renovations out of the cash reserves. So you can be strategic in how you utilize the capital, or utilize your capital to do development, and then try and stage it, doing multi-stages, and build an equity at each stage along the way. Hope you got a lot of value out of that. If you want to know more, please let me know, or if you want me to do a completely different video and educate you on something else, let me know as well in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.